Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Fundraising at its Healthiest What You Need to Know webinar. My name is Allie Lipsett-Simpson. I'm the Education Program Associate here at the Penn State Hershey Pro Wellness Center. This webinar would not be possible without the support from our funders. Funding was provided by the Pennsylvania Department of Health through the State Public Health Actions to Prevent and Control Diabetes, Heart Disease, Obesity, and Associated Risk Factors and Promote School Health federal grant and Preventative Health and Health Services block grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We'd like to give a special thanks to our partners at the Department of Health for their contributions to this webinar. A few housekeeping points before we get started. All participant phones and microphones have been muted to ensure the information shared by all presenters can be heard clearly. If you would like to submit a question or a comment for the question and answer session, you can enter that into the question box. We will reserve time at the end of the webinar to answer submitted questions. The webinar is being recorded, and a link to the recording and handouts will be emailed following the webinar. A link to a certificate of completion and a follow-up survey will also be included in this email. So we have a very exciting agenda this afternoon. The key items we will cover during today's session include an overview of Pro Wellness Center, benefits and challenges of moving toward healthier fundraisers, and resources to help create healthier fundraisers. At the end of this webinar, attendees should be able to understand the purpose of healthier fundraising in schools, recognize key stakeholders for implementing healthier fundraising, and identify resources related to creating healthier fundraisers. A little bit of information about the center. Here at the Penn State Hershey Pro Wellness Center, we are committed to educating and inspiring youth and their families to eat well, engage in regular physical activity, and become champions for bringing healthy choices to life. The vision of our center is to reduce the incidence rate of childhood obesity. We aim to be the trusted resource for educational programming, collaborative partnerships, and proven interventions in schools, communities, and like-minded organizations. In 2014, we worked with over 400 schools in some capacity, and we pride ourselves on being a great resource for schools and their partners. The PRO in our name stands for Prevention, Research, and Outreach. Examples of our work based on this acronym can be found on our website. Our website also has many resources, including the opportunity to sign up your school or community-based organization to be a Healthy Champion. Our Healthy Champions program is available for schools and community-based organizations in Pennsylvania and includes resources like event planning guides and promotional templates, customized school champion reports, future funding priority, and Hershey Bears incentives for those that are local. Register as a Healthy Champion. Visit www.pennstatehershey.org/prowellness/champs. Annual registration is required to receive your welcome kit at the beginning of each school year, and registration for the 2015-2016 school year is happening now. There's no limit on how many schools or community-based organizations can enroll, but the welcome kits are limited, so I would encourage you to log on to our website today and register if you want to be a Healthy Champion and you want to get your kit. In that welcome kit, it includes 4 of our signature posters for Apple Crunch and Walk to or at School Day in October, Go for the Greens in March, and Move It Outside in May. So we're going to be using the polling mechanism several times throughout this webinar. So let's go ahead and test it out. Let's see who's attending this webinar. All right. Okay, you should see on your screen. I'd like to know what title best describes your role in school. So if you take a minute and select what role best describes you, administrator, teacher, food service personnel, other, or not affiliated with a school. So thank you. I see your responses coming in. So we'll give you a couple more seconds here to log in who you are before we move on. Okay. All right. see here. So it looks like most of you on our webinar are either other or affiliated with a school, or not affiliated with a school. So I can see we do have a diverse number of people here, and I'm confident that everybody here will find some good information to take back to their school or organization. All right, let's jump back in here. Okay. There we go. If we can get it back up. All right. So we'll go ahead and we are going to talk about fundraising at its healthiest. I think it's important as we look at the subject, we start with a bigger picture of wellness first. Looking beyond fundraising will provide us a broad view of wellness so we can see how healthier fundraising fits into that picture. So let's take a look at the whole school, whole community, whole child model. This model incorporates the components of a coordinated school health program around the tenets of a whole child approach to education. All of these components, the child, the school, and the community, must come together to create a supportive environment for children to grow and learn. Fundraising is a real-world example of something that crosses all these boundaries. It's beyond just the student in the school, and it moves into the community. And if made healthier, fundraising programs could have a positive effect on all of these realms. So why is healthy fundraising important? Research shows that good nutrition has a positive effect on a child's cognitive abilities. By nourishing the brain with healthy food and water, you will optimize the internal environment, enabling students to truly engage in the classroom environment and achieve their potential. So nutrition and physical health play a vital role in a child's ability to learn. According to the Bridging the Gap brief, Creating Supportive School Nutrition Environments, the school environment plays a fundamental role in shaping lifelong healthy behaviors and can have a powerful influence on a student's eating habits. A supportive nutrition environment includes multiple elements: access to healthy and appealing foods and beverages available to students in school meals, vending machines, school stores, a la carte lines in the cafeteria, fundraisers, and classroom parties. Consistent messaging about food and healthy eating, and the opportunities students have to learn about healthy eating. So with significant scientific research supporting the relationship between nutrition and academic performance, it was time for up-to-date regulatory guidance for food sold in schools. The Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act was legislated in 2010 to improve the health status of our schools. The Act provides guidance for food sold in school and allows the USDA to make important revisions to school nutrition programs that serve to greatly improve nutrition. As a result of the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act, standards were developed for all foods sold in schools, and the Smart Snacks in School guidelines were created. These guidelines went into effect in 2014. So how do Smart Snacks in School standards affect fundraising in schools? The Smart Snacks School nutrition standards apply to any foods sold to students during the school day on the school campus, including food sold as a fundraiser. So fundraising that involves the sale of foods and beverages intended for immediate consumption during the school day must meet the Smart Snack standards. The standards provide a special exemption for infrequent fundraisers that do not meet the nutrition standards. Each state agency is responsible for establishing the number of exempt fundraisers that may be held in schools each year. In Pennsylvania, for the 2014-2015 school year, the number of exemptions was 5 per year at the elementary and middle school level and 10 per year at the high school level. But I also want to note here that this number is subject to change. And on another note, there are no limits on the number of fundraisers that do meet the standards. So when do these standards apply? According to the Department of Education, a school day begins at midnight the night before and continues until 30 minutes after the end of the school day. So fundraisers that fall into that time frame are subject to the guidelines. Although these guidelines do not apply to weekends, at concession stands for sporting events, or for fundraising that falls outside of that time window, schools are encouraged to expand the influence of these standards into as many areas as possible. Doing so further supports the benefit of healthy nutrition choices during the school day. If you're interested in hearing more about the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act and the Smart Snacks in School guidelines, please check out the ProWellness's archived webinar webpage to view our webinar called School Nutrition, Rethink How Your Students Refuel from May of 2014. So with fundraisers often falling outside of the school day time frame, why make the change and consider going healthier across the board? The message. Sending a healthy message should be seen across all platforms. It's important to minimize conflicting messages. So why sell unhealthy foods when the message that schools are working so hard to send is that healthy is better? Fundraising should support the health and well-being of both students and their families. By minimizing conflicting messages, you are supporting the benefit of healthy nutrition choices. But we've always done it this way, and we've all heard that before. We do bake sales and cookie dough sales and pizza sales and candy sales. Many of our food fundraisers include unhealthy foods. So as you move in the direction of healthier fundraisers, be prepared for challengers. If you're going to change from unhealthy fundraisers to healthier fundraisers, you may receive some pushback. As we know, change can often be hard. So the question is, how can we change the how we've always done it mentality and still raise money for our programs? In order to build support and encourage those that may not be as interested in changing directions, you'll want to think through some of the questions you might be presented with. You may want to come up with a few new fundraising ideas and do a bit of research about those ideas. How much money could you possibly raise? Are there any upfront costs? How much time will it take to implement? And are there any larger school or organization-wide campaigns happening that could be complemented by a fundraiser? For example, your school or organization may be encouraging everyone to drink more water. So you could sell water bottles in the school with the school logo or the organization logo on it. Being prepared will help your healthier fundraising ideas gain momentum. You'll be able to reassure potential stakeholders that those important funds can still be raised using healthier fundraising programs and events. So as with many of our initiatives, support is key. You want to build a group that is committed to helping create healthier fundraisers. Your Wellness Council is a crucial stakeholder. The focus of this group is the health and well-being of your students, faculty, and staff, which makes it an obvious group to get on board with healthier fundraising. In fact, some of you on the webinar today may sit on your Wellness Council. Also, involve administrators, teachers, and students. Students are wonderful idea generators, and if they're involved in the creation process, they'll be great champions for the fundraiser as you go down the line. Parents can also provide great support, and parents are often our link to the community as well. Make sure you include booster clubs and coaches, as many of the fundraisers in our schools surround sports and activities that these people are a part of. And don't forget about the local community. Encourage community involvement. For example, businesses can donate items or participate in the fundraiser. This stakeholder support will not only build creativity, it's going to help keep these changes sustainable. So we are going to launch another poll now. I would like, hang on one second. There we go. Okay, we're going to launch this one this time. Okay, it's up on the screen. So I'd like to know if your school or organization has a fundraising policy. So yes, no, or I don't know. We'll give you a couple seconds here to answer. So again, a few responses. Okay, awesome. And here we go. Okay, so it looks like the majority either say yes, you do, or you don't know. And those are two great answers. And I think in the next couple of slides, we'll tell you how to work on either creating a policy or how you can change or update one that you already have. Okay, so we are going to jump back in here. All right. So changing the way you fundraise doesn't mean more work. It can actually be pretty easy. And one of the first steps towards making a sustainable change can be policy change. So look into your school, your district, or your organization's policy around fundraising. Often fundraising policies are a part of a larger wellness policy. So that's the first place I would recommend looking if you don't know where yours is. Once you've found your policy, Is it supportive of healthier fundraising? If not, consider making changes that would encourage healthier fundraising. And if you don't have a policy, consider creating one. The Alliance for Healthier Generation has some healthier fundraising policy language in their Model Wellness Policy online. This is a great resource if you're looking to update your current policy or create a new one. So let's get creative. This is sort of the best part of the whole webinar, I think, because we get to think about all the ideas that we can build on to build healthier fundraisers. So when thinking of new ideas, creativity is key. Consider what type of fundraiser you want to have. Do you want to do a food-based fundraiser or a non-food fundraiser, or perhaps an activity-based fundraiser? I'd like to make a note here that a healthier fundraiser doesn't mean that you can't sell food or food-related products. And we know that selling food items is often a popular way to raise those important funds. So just keep that in mind, that you can still have a food-related fundraiser and still meet the guidelines. So if you'd like to do a food-related fundraiser, instead of a bake sale, consider having a healthy cook-off event and charge for admission. Or have students sell fruits and vegetables from a school garden. Selling fruit baskets is another great alternative to candy or cookie dough sales. Selling cookbooks with healthy recipes is a great way to get families involved. And consider inviting a local chef in to do a healthy food presentation and charge for admission. If your school or organization has always done food fundraisers, try a non-food fundraiser. Have a talent show and charge for admission. Kids love to put on a show, especially the little ones. Other ideas can include selling promotional items like I mentioned earlier with the water bottles. Or consider holding a yard sale. Ask the community to donate items that will be sold during the school yard sale and have students serve as the salespeople. Another great idea is to incorporate physical activity into fundraising and host an activity-based fundraiser. Research shows that active kids learn better. As we talked about earlier, when we look at the whole child, physical activity is an important component. Activity-based fundraisers offer the opportunity to get kids active and grow that message of healthy across all aspects of their school experience. So try a fun run or a 5K. These types of events are a great way to involve families and get the community involved. Try a teacher-student competition or a field day. And any kind of fun you can think of, they're great options. For example, a dance-a-thon, a hula hoop-a-thon, a Zumba-thon, or a walk-a-thon. Anything you can think of can make a great fundraiser. So where do you go from here? First, check your school or organization's fundraising policy. Does it need to be updated or created? Look into that. Build support from your key stakeholders. By creating or strengthening your policy and involving the right stakeholders, your move towards healthier fundraising will become more sustainable. And be creative. The sky is seriously the limit. As you involve motivated and excited stakeholders, the ideas you can come up with will be endless. And finally, find resources to help you. There are a lot of resources that provide suggestions on potential fundraiser ideas, guidance on how to get started, and policy wording. So here are a few examples to help you get moving in the healthy direction. The Alliance for Healthier Generation has wonderful resources on alternative fundraising ideas and suggested policy language. I want to note that the policy language can be found in the Alliance's Model Wellness Policy. And also I want to note that all of these resources will be on our website after the webinar. The USDA is another great place to look within their Food and Nutrition Service and the PA Department of Education, Division of Food and Nutrition. So we have a few minutes for questions, so please use the chat box to ask questions. And also another note that we will compile a list of all questions asked with responses, and we will put those on the website as well, along with all of the resources. So let's see here and see what questions we may have coming in. All right. Looks like one of the first questions is, how can we find out if our fundraiser foods meet the Smart Snacks standards? So one of the great things that the Alliance for a Healthier Generation has online is the Smart Snacks product calculator. And if you go onto their website, you can actually enter the details of a food and find out if it meets the standard. So I'd recommend that if you are selling certain things and you want to know, you can log on there and find some of the answers if your product meets the standards on there. Okay, let's see here. What else do we have? Okay, so here's another one. What are a few key items to include in a fundraising policy? That's a good question too. Whether or not you're updating an existing or creating a new policy, there are probably a few things you want to think about as you're looking into your fundraising policy. Your policy should include some language around the smart snacks and school standards. That'll help define the guidelines that have to be followed, so that's a good place to put that, to have that in there. You probably also want to consider some parameters, including some parameters around the number of food fundraisers that schools will allow outside of the school hours. Also consider some language to encourage food fundraisers or non-food fundraisers and some activity-based fundraisers. And again, there's great suggestions on policy language in the Alliance's Model Wellness Policy. Okay, looks like we have one more. And okay, so looks like our school has a lot of fundraisers throughout the year for many different programs across campus. Where should we start to get all of our fundraising in line with the healthy message? I think that one of the biggest things you're going to want to do is build support for your healthier fundraising ideas. Again, we talked about that and how important it is to have the right people helping to push that along. So I think that's important. And then also creating a policy. That's another really, really important thing. And once you have the quality policy and once you have a quality policy in place and motivated, enthusiastic supporters, it'll be easy to gain momentum. Okay. I think we are good. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to put them in here. Otherwise, I think we could probably wrap up for the day. And I want to take a minute and thank you all again for attending this afternoon's webinar. And if you have questions, please don't be afraid to send an email or check us out definitely on Facebook and Twitter. And again, you'll be receiving an email after the webinar within the next few days with the archived version on there, as well as all of the resources and a completion certificate as well. So it looks like we're good. No more questions. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Have a good day.